Hello and welcome to the Digestive System Part 1. In this video we will be discussing the functions of the digestive system, the esophagus, and the stomach. The digestive system has four main functions: ingestion, digestion, absorption, and elimination. The first step is ingestion. This is when liquid and food is taken into the body through the mouth. And this is where digestion begins when the salivary enzymes break down the food. So it's always important to remember that digestion does not begin in the stomach. It begins in the mouth. Next, we have digestion, which is the breaking down of food into smaller parts. There are two types of digestion that we're going to be focusing on: chemical and mechanical. Chemical digestion is when food is broken down by chemicals, acids, or enzymes. And mechanical digestion is when food is broken down physically through smooth muscle contractions. This is also known as peristalsis. And another word for mechanical digestion is physical digestion. Then we have absorption. This is when nutrients is taken in through the small intestine and is absorbed by the villi, or the tiny fibers that help to take in nutrients. And it's always important to remember the small intestine is the main site for nutrients absorption. And then finally, we have elimination. This is when waste that contains proteins or fibers that we don't need is excreted. Next, we're going to be talking about the esophagus. The esophagus is a long tube that connects from the pharynx to the stomach. The pharynx is the throat. So at the end of the esophagus, we have the cardiac sphincter that regulates the flow of liquid and food between the esophagus to the stomach. So there are two sphincters that are present in the digestive system: the cardiac sphincter and the pyloric sphincter, which we'll learn about in the next slide. So the cardiac sphincter really has nothing to do with the heart. It's just out of the two sphincters, the cardiac sphincter is closer to the heart. So when food is passed through the esophagus, it also passes the trachea, which is then covered by a flap called the epiglottis to prevent food and water from entering. And additionally, the esophagus also has a muscle lining. So next we're going to be talking about the stomach. So the stomach contains tiny folds called rugae that help in digestion by producing chemicals to break down the food that we eat. So essentially, since the food is being broken down by chemicals, rugae would have a big part in chemical digestion. So when the food is digested chemically in the stomach, it becomes this acidic mixture called chyme. And chyme is basically a mixture of both food and enzymes. Then the stomach connects to the small intestine through the pylorus, which has the pyloric sphincter. And basically, a sphincter is a ring of muscular tissue to control the movement of chyme. Question time. So, question 1. What type of digestion involves the use of enzymes to break down food in the stomach? I'll give you 5 seconds to answer. If you said D, chemical digestion, you are correct. So A says absorption. Absorption is when nutrients is taken in by the small intestine to be of use to the body. This does not really have anything to do with digestion, since this is the process that comes after digestion. Then we have physical digestion. Again, but this would be a distractor, because physical digestion is when peristalsis, or muscle contraction, is used to break down food. Same thing with mechanical digestion. They go hand in hand. They can be used interchangeably. But chemical digestion is when acid or enzymes are used in the stomach to break down the food. So D would be the correct answer. Next question. Where does digestion start? I'll give you 5 seconds to answer. If you said A, the mouth, you are correct. So B says the stomach. Well, while it is true that food does get digested in the stomach, digestion basically starts in the mouth because the salivary enzymes break down food when it enters the mouth. The esophagus and the large intestine are parts of the digestive system, but they all come after the mouth, so those wouldn't be correct. Question 3. What are the folds in the stomach that aid in digestion? I'll give you 5 seconds to answer. If you said C, rugae, you are correct. So A is the small intestine. The small intestine has the main role of absorbing nutrients from the food we eat. And also, it's an intestine, so it's not a fold, so that wouldn't be correct. B says the esophagus, which is a long tube that connects from the mouth, or the pharynx, which is the throat, to the stomach. And again, that's not a fold, so that wouldn't be correct. And then D says villi, which is a small projection in the small intestine that help to obtain nutrients, so that wouldn't be correct. But rugae is a fold in the stomach that aid in digestion by secreting enzymes that help to break down food, thus contributing to chemical digestion. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next video.